Sometimes life gives pain that words can't express. This isn't just their story, it's the story of everyone who's ever been broken. When a heart shatters, it makes no sound, but the pain echoes everywhere. In this video, you might find a piece of your own story.
Sheikh Mohammed is admired as an effective ruler. In 15 years, he has turned Dubai into a prosperous oasis. But the personal life of the head of the emirate is hidden from prying eyes. It is known that only officially he had 6 wives and about 30 children. According to experts studying the life of the Dubai ruler, with most of his women, Sheikh Mohammed was quite strict. A typical history of matrimony can be described as follows. After the birth of children, the sheikh would lose interest in the woman. She would be banished from the palace and he would keep the children. Only one, the most mysterious wife, Hind, has been with him for nearly 50 years and has given him 12 children. But is she happy in her marriage? Who are his ex-wives, how are they living today, and why do they remember him with fear and tears in their eyes? What tragedies from their lives remain little known? And what secrets does the Al Maktoum family hide? Watch the full story of how the ruler of Dubai treated his wives. Let's get started. Dubai's ruler Sheikh Mohammed is known not only for his greatness and wealth, but also for high-profile scandals involving his wives and daughters. But few people know about the story of one more wife of Mohammed, who ran away from him much earlier than Princess Haya. She bore the sheikh 3 children, but was able to take only one away. Who is she and why did she escape from the palace? Why did the ruler never recognize their common son? Watch the details of another scandal in the noble family of Al Maktoum. Pauline was born in mountainous Lebanon and was not of high birth. Apparently, Pauline and Mohammed first met in Beirut, where the sheikh often went on business trips. It happened in the 1980s, then between them burst into ardent passion. It is not known whether Pauline was the official wife of the sheikh. Probably this information was just removed from all sources. In 1992, a joint child of Mohammed and Pauline was born, who was named Suhail. He didn't inherit his father's noble surname Al Maktoum, but received the surname of his mother Abu Rached. In general, there are a lot of intriguing details in this story. Not long ago, the editor of an Arab-American newspaper received a curious letter from a person close to the royal court. It said that Suhail was not the only child Mohammed and Pauline had together. Moreover, he was the third. According to the author of the letter, the couple had a girl Maryam in August 1987 and a boy Mansour in June 1989. It follows that for at least 5 years between the births of Maryam and Suhail, Pauline Abu Rached lived in a Dubai palace. The women in the harem disliked her and avoided associating with her, possibly because she was a Christian. As the author of the letter wrote, the breakdown of Pauline and Sheikh Mohammed's relationship occurred shortly before Suhail's birth. The sheikh was angry with Pauline and threw her pregnant out of the palace. Most likely, the ruler separated from his wife without knowing that she was expecting a child. Had the sheikh known about the pregnancy, it is almost certain that he would have waited until the birth and taken the child for himself. But it is possible that Pauline ran away herself, knowing that the child would be taken away from her as well. According to the author of the letter, the monarch kept the other 2 children born to Pauline. Maryam and Mansour stayed in Dubai, while their sibling Suhail was born in Lebanon, where the unfortunate mother was forced to go. Could this be true? Just take a look at this picture posted by Pauline Abu Rached on her Facebook. On the left, wearing glasses, is Suhail, who grew up in Lebanon, and on the right is Mansour, who was raised in Mohammed's palace. Look at how much they look alike. In between the images of the brothers is a photo of Princess Maryam. Did you notice that she looks a lot like Pauline? Why did Pauline Abu Rached combine the young people in one image? The answer is simple. It is very likely that all 3 are indeed her children. Only Mansour and Maryam grew up with their father and were brought up as prince and princess. In the chronicles of Dubai's ruling family, Mansour is recorded as the son of an Algerian wife Horia, and he is allegedly the brother of the infamous Latifa and Shamsa, whose fate is still reliably unknown. Maryam is believed to be the daughter of Lebanese wife Delilah Alula. Apparently, the women were given the children to raise, as their real mother was a Christian and may have had concubine status. Suhail, on the other hand, stayed with his mother and became a simple man, although in fact he should have inherited his father's title and a fair share of his father's multi-billion-dollar fortune. But why didn't Mohammed recognize him later? Although according to the author of the letter, father and son met once, but their meeting was short-lived. This may sound strange for the 21st century, but the reason is religious. Mohammed is the head of an Islamic state. Suhail's mother is a zealous Christian and has instilled in her son a commitment to this religion. Mohammed, a Muslim, is just unable to recognize that his own son is a Christian. Apart from the image loss, this could lead to political outrage. And also Suhail most likely doesn't want to change his faith. It will be extremely difficult for the subjects of the Muslim Emirate of Dubai to explain why their prince is a Christian. Although there was such a case in their royal family when the ruler's daughter changed her faith, got the status of a princess and the name Mara. As a carrier of noble blood and a potential heir to billions, Suhail leads an unremarkable life. Like all ordinary people, he is trying to find his way in life and he is doing quite well. According to some reports, the man became a military man. At 31, he is completely independent and does not depend on anyone. At the same time, he will never achieve the position, money, and power that are by default reserved for representatives of royal families. Mansour, born by Pauline 3 years earlier than Suhail, was recognized by his father and given the title of prince. Now the young man is actively mastering public administration. His Highness, at the age of 34, already heads the Dubai Supreme Sports Council and the Border Guard Authority. There is no doubt that a brilliant future awaits him. Suhail's elder sister Maryam, like Mansour, was brought up in the palace and favored by her father. She received an excellent education and never lacked money. By the way, the author of the letter mentions that all of Mohammed's official daughters receive a monthly allowance of 1 million dirhams. The amount is equivalent to $270,000 and is given for pocket expenses, such as buying handbags and cosmetics. However, as of September 2019, Maryam does not need this benefit. She was married off to a member of the royal family. Her husband, Sheikh Suhail bin Ahmed Al Maktoum, is a billionaire and one of the most influential people in the Middle East. Neither Mansour nor Maryam had met their mother Pauline. Interestingly, according to Suhail's friends, the failed prince is not the least bit jealous of his successful relatives. After all, they have achieved everything they have not by their own efforts, but thanks to their influential father. Moreover, Suhail even feels a little sorry for his brother and sister. After all, their childhood was spent in the atmosphere of endless intrigues of the Dubai Palace, about which we have already told on our channel. Is it really better to be not rich but free than to be a titled millionaire whose life is ruled by an overbearing father? And how would you answer this question? Write in the comments. This year was a milestone for the scandal-plagued Princess Haya. She celebrated her 50th birthday, married the ruler of Dubai 20 years ago, and fled to London with her children 5 years ago. After the world's most publicized divorce, Haya feared for her life, and only recently, for the first time in many years, she appeared in public with her children, who have visibly changed and grown up. Where is Princess Haya now? What do her grown-up children look like? And what happened to her after her breakup with one of the world's richest and cruelest sheikhs? Watch the video to the end to find out. Let's get started. Princess Haya's life has been filled with tragedy since her birth, but instead of breaking this fragile-looking woman, these events have only made her stronger. Haya bint al-Hussein was born into the royal family of Jordan. When the girl was 3 years old, her mother, Queen Alia, died in a helicopter crash. This tragedy brought the princess closer to her father, who spoiled her and encouraged her desire for independence and her love of horseback riding. At the age of 20, another stroke of fate awaited Haya. She met Basil Assad, the eldest son of the Syrian president. In the future, he would succeed his father and lead the country. They were both passionate about horseback riding, had similar attitudes, and were madly in love with each other. Unfortunately, Vasil died in a car accident on the way to Damascus airport. For the next 10 years, Haya had virtually no relationships with men. Her friends said that Basil Assad lived in her heart all those years. Thanks to horseback riding, Haya found love again. She met Mohammed at a competition in Spain. The girl easily won the heart of the sheikh, who was 25 years her senior. They embarked on a whirlwind romance that quickly ended in marriage. After the death of her father, the princess was looking for a strong man to give her a sense of security. Haya seemed to think Mohammed was perfect for the role, but she later realized that she was mistaken. For 30-year-old Haya, it was her first experience of married life, while for the sheikh, she was his sixth wife and he already had several dozen children. Many of his wives and daughters have never been seen in public. In Arab countries, it is customary for women to remain in the shadow of their husbands or fathers and to submit to their will. But Haya made it clear from the beginning that she expected to be equal to her husband, and the sheikh allowed her much. Although you'd be surprised at how overbearing Mohammed actually was with his favorite wife, be sure to watch the video to the end. The princess lived with her children in a luxurious mansion in Dubai. All the rulers' wives have their own houses, but she was the only one who had the right to visit Sabil Palace, where Mohammed lives, without waiting, like the other wives, for her husband to pay her a visit. According to her recollection, she and Mohammed spent nearly $3 million on strawberries for the family and staff in the first few months after the wedding. It's not clear how they managed to eat so much. For the next 15 years, they looked like a happy, perfect family. Haya accompanied her husband to official functions. They often appeared in public holding hands. No one could have imagined that in the summer of 2019, the princess would make her scandalous escape from Dubai. Although, as it turned out, Mohammed had already divorced Haya by talaq without her knowledge in February of that year. According to Islamic law, a man can say talaq 3 times for a marriage to be considered annulled. It seems that the problems in this royal family started long before the Haya's escape. So what happened between the fabulously wealthy ruler of Dubai and his Jordanian wife? The press reported that the princess was having an affair with her British bodyguard. Sheikh Mohammed was furious when he found out and began threatening her. She received anonymous threatening notes and twice found a gun on her bed with the safety off. Fearing for her life, Haya fled to England and hired the best divorce lawyers. Many people were surprised by the sheikh's presumptuous attitude toward the legal process. He did not appear at the hearings, but he was seen at auctions in England at the time, buying horses for several $millions. He probably thought he could get away with it, as he did with his daughters Latifa and Shamsa. But Haya used the scandalous story against the sheikh. The princess insisted on full custody of the children, fearing that their father would steal them and take them back to Dubai. Princess Haya told the court that her husband had planned to marry their daughter Al-Jalila to Saudi Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman in the future. We're sure the prince wouldn't say no, considering how beautiful Jalila has already become at 16. In a moment, we will show you just how much she has changed. The sheikh has already married off many of his daughters to members of the royal families of neighboring countries, and the recent divorce of his daughter Mara has become another high-profile scandal in the family. Her father found her a rich bridegroom from his own Al Maktoum royal family, but the rebellious daughter would not tolerate her husband's deception. The whole world is now waiting for this story to continue. In the end, Haya wins sole custody of the children. Sheikh Mohammed must pay her more than $730 million in compensation. Approximately 1/3 of this amount will be used to provide lifetime protection for Haya and her children. Another portion of the money will be used to cover ongoing expenses for a comfortable life. It is known that about $2 million will be used to expand the kitchen and build a pizza oven in the London home where the princess currently lives with her children. Haya has also demanded compensation of more than $25 million for the horses she bought during the marriage, and more than $100 million more for the jewelry and designer clothes she left behind in Dubai when she fled. The trial also revealed that Mohammed had wiretapped the phones of his ex-wife and her lawyers during the divorce proceedings. After this revelation, the Queen of England refused to communicate with the Sheikh because of his tainted reputation, and he was no longer invited to the royal box at the races. After the divorce, Haya did not go out for a long time, fearing for her life, but in 2022, the princess was spotted at the funeral of Elizabeth II. She came to pay her respects to the late queen along with her uncle, Prince Hassan. And now, after a few more long years, Haya has delighted her fans once again. The princess and her children Jalila and Zayed were on hand to celebrate the return of the yacht maiden from a round-the-world race. In 1989, Haya's father, King Hussein, funded the restoration of this yacht for the round-the-world regatta. The princess paid tribute to her father and many years later also sponsored the legendary sailboat to participate in the race, which eventually returned victorious. This is the first appearance of Haya and Mohammed's children in the last 5 years since they fled Dubai. The royal heirs have matured and changed considerably. Many have noticed that Jalila has become incredibly beautiful, and her figure is as spectacular as her mother's. Princess Haya now lives with her children in the luxurious 12-bedroom Castlewood House estate in Surrey. She also owns a $135 million mansion in an upscale London neighborhood. Haya still fears that Sheikh Mohammed will continue to harass her. He once tried to buy an expensive estate next to her mansion to keep an eye on her life, but a court barred the billionaire from buying the property or any other property nearby. Princess Haya's story should remind everyone that a life of luxury can turn into a nightmare, and that living safely and seeing your children every day is more important than any money. What do you think? Share your thoughts in the comments below. The ruler of Dubai, Sheikh Mohammed, is notorious for his harsh treatment of ex-wives and his own daughters who dare to go against his will. But this story goes beyond the usual even for the customs of this Eastern monarch. Mohammed's ex-wife remembers his name with horror and tears in her eyes because he deprived her of absolutely everything. Their love story started off very beautifully and it seemed like it would last a lifetime. So why did their love disappear? How did Sheikh Mohammed go from ardent passion to obsessive desire to break his beloved's life? Subscribe to our channel. Let's get started. The future spouses met in the distant 1972. Mohammed was 23 years old and Randa only 16. The man then held the post of defense minister, and his father Rashid ruled in Dubai. Mohammed traveled extensively in the Middle East and ended up in the capital of Lebanon, Beirut. Here fate brought him together with a young Lebanese woman. It happened at a party where Randa came to dispel the sadness of being expelled from Catholic school. Their love was like a flash. The young people instantly felt sympathy and realized that they were made for each other. Soon they formalized their marriage. Mohammed showered Randa with gifts, praised his beloved in poems, and took her on trips on private jets. Their life was one big holiday, consisting of parties, champagne, and life in London. After a few years they moved to Dubai, and here the girl realized that the extremely strict customs of the Arab world are not for her. Mohammed became unusually domineering and began to treat Randa as a master treats a disenfranchised concubine. There were regular quarrels between them. In 1977, the couple had a daughter who was named Manal. And here a mysterious event occurred, about which Randa and Mohammed still prefer to keep silent. Perhaps he demanded that Randa renounce Christianity and convert to Islam, as well as change her European name to a Muslim one. The girl agreed to the second demand and received the Eastern name Haifa, but she flatly refused to betray Catholicism, as she was a true believer. Mohammed's revenge was terrible. He demanded a divorce and chased Randa out of the palace. All would have been nothing, but he committed another act that would affect the entire subsequent life of the woman. The sheikh took away her 5-month-old daughter and strictly forbade the mother to see her child. Randa was taken to her homeland, Lebanon. She was deprived of any help from her husband and found herself alone. She had no money, no education, no home of her own, and no life prospects. But most importantly, she was deprived of her child. Randa devoted the next decades to seeing her daughter at least occasionally. But Sheikh Mohammed wouldn't even allow her to do that. Moreover, he periodically mocked the maternal feelings of the former lover. In an interview with the British newspaper, The Sunday Times, the woman recounted the terrible details of the monarch's behavior in the Emirate of Dubai. When Manal was 2 or 3 years old, Sheikh Mohammed pretended to have mercy on the unfortunate Randa and sent her a picture of her daughter. There was a little girl sitting in her father's arms in the picture. The Lebanese woman was so happy even for such a small thing that she cried over the photo for days on end. She carried it around with her everywhere as a relic and a symbol of hope that she would meet her child. Some time later, Randa received a mocking letter from Mohammed. The letter informed her that in fact it was not Manal in the picture, but a different girl. As for her daughter, Randa will never see her again, no matter how much she wants to. Probably in Mohammed's opinion, it was a very funny joke. But his ex-beloved was on the verge of a nervous breakdown. However, she didn't know yet that her ex-husband was capable of a much more sophisticated revenge. In 2000, when Manal was 23, Mohammed told Randa that he had forgiven her for past grievances. The ruler promised the woman that she would be able to see her grown-up daughter. To do this, the Lebanese woman needs to come to Dubai for a social event where Manal will be present. To get to the event, the woman must appear in an evening dress. The woman's modest income did not allow her to buy such clothes, but she borrowed money and fulfilled the condition. Randa didn't know what her grown-up daughter looked like, so she wandered aimlessly around the event hall. When she asked where Manal was, she was told that if she was a real mother, her heart should find her child on its own. The woman wandered through the crowd for the entire evening but never found her daughter. She was later told that Manal wasn't at the event at all, and it was just another Mohammed joke. On her return to Beirut, the woman received further unpleasant news. Mohammed declared her banned for life from entering the Arab Emirates. This meant that she was unlikely to ever see her daughter again. Nevertheless, Randa didn't give up. 5 years later, she got a chance to see her daughter at her wedding. Manal was 28 years old, and it was decided to marry her to Sheikh Mansour, the son of the ruler of Abu Dhabi Emirate. She was to be his second wife. The celebrations were held not in Dubai, but in Abu Dhabi, where Randa could secretly penetrate. To do this, she enlisted the support of a Saudi princess who had been invited to the wedding. The princess promised Randa that she would accompany her to the ceremony so that she could at least see her daughter in her wedding dress from afar. But a few days before the flight, Randa was attacked by an unknown bandit right in the center of Beirut. Instead of a wedding, the Lebanese woman ended up in a hospital bed where she lay unconscious for a long time. When she came to her senses, the first thing she saw was that hateful face of Mohammed Al Maktoum. The ex-husband didn't hesitate to travel to Lebanon to ward off suspicion. He swore that he had nothing to do with the brutal attack. At the same time, he didn't miss the opportunity to hint that the woman shouldn't try to see Manal again without his knowledge. However, the sheikh didn't give his consent to the long-awaited meeting either. Evil tongues claim that the Saudi princess initially betrayed Randa by informing Mohammed of the Lebanese woman's intentions. In a rage, the sheikh made a decision that he later regretted and had to personally travel to Beirut to justify himself. There is, of course, no physical evidence of this development. Nevertheless, the Dubai monarch had a motive to punish the persistent mother. Unfortunately, this story has no happy ending, at least not yet. Randa's fate was not easy. After the divorce, when Randa returned to Lebanon, civil war broke out. One of the militia commanders forced Randa to marry him. He was brutal to her and she constantly asked for a divorce. They had 2 children together. After the civil war ended, Randa took revenge on her husband by turning him over to the authorities for arrest. In return, she was allowed to leave with her children for Italy. Randa is 67 years old and her daughter is 46. During this time, they have never met because of Sheikh Mohammed's categorical ban. Thanks to the development of the internet and social media, the Lebanese woman knows exactly what her daughter looks like. However, no picture, of course, will not replace the live communication with a native person. These days, Randa lives in Italy with her 2 children from her second marriage. Her daughter Manal is married to an Arab aristocrat and works in the civil service in the Emirates. She founded the Dubai Women's Organization, which supports women's rights. Ironically, she advocates for women's freedom in the country, but is not allowed to meet her own mother. Randa is still living the dream of seeing her daughter in person. "All I want is to hold her in my arms again," she said sorrowfully in a newspaper interview. These statements by the first wife of the Dubai ruler came at a time when Princess Haya bint Al Hussein, the escaped wife of Sheikh Mohammed, sued in a British court and demanded sole custody of her children. Princess Haya was much luckier, being able to escape and take the children with her. Unbelievably, even after almost half a century, Mohammed forbids Randa from meeting her daughter. Perhaps such a position has a special meaning for him, emphasizing the monarch's omnipotence. Do you think this story confirms the old truth that love sometimes requires a prohibitive price to pay? Share in the comments. Princess Haya bint Al Hussein became one of the most talked about royalty after her scandalous escape from the Dubai ruler's family. She and her children were bathed in luxury, but Haya rejected her status as First Lady of Dubai. In London court, she not only asked for protection from persecution, but also made another sensational statement. What made her take such a step? Was the princess really having an affair with her bodyguard, or did Sheikh Mohammed start such rumors to ruin her reputation? Keep watching and you'll find out. Let's get started. To understand why the wife of the richest man in the Arab Emirates ran away, you should know the story of Princess Haya. In terms of nobility, she could argue with her ex-husband. She belongs to the Hashemite royal dynasty, which dates back to the 10th century. Her ancestors ruled Mecca for more than 1,000 years, and her father was the king of Jordan. In the East, the question of origin is quite important. In nobility of lineage, Haya is above her husband. Evil tongues say that the family union of Haya and the ruler of Dubai was a marriage of convenience. In the early 2000s, Jordan, ruled by the princess father King Hussein, was a poor country. Unlike the Arab Emirates, Jordan had little oil and no developed industry. The marriage of Haya and Mohammed took place in 2004. Immediately after that, large investments from the Emirates flowed into Jordan. The country's economy began to grow by leaps and bounds. In the 15 years during which Princess and Sheikh were married, Jordan's GDP tripled. That's not to say that this is solely due to investment from the Emirates, but it has nevertheless helped Jordan a lot. One might think that Haya married Mohammed only out of a desire to help her homeland. However, that's not like that. Her friends say there was indeed a spark between Princess and Sheikh. The aristocrats met in Spain at an equestrian competition. A stormy romance began, which quickly ended in a wedding. The ceremony was held in a narrow circle, and then began family life, quite happy in appearance. The princess was literally shining, and she always had a pleasant smile on her face. However, Haya was only the youngest sixth wife of Mohammed. If Haya were a strictly Oriental woman, she probably would have taken it easy. But the fact was that the princess had a European upbringing and was used to freedom. She received not just a good, but a brilliant education. First, she studied at Badminton School for Girls, which Indira Gandhi had once graduated from. She received her higher education at Oxford. Haya is a graduate in politics, economics, and philosophy. In addition to Arabic, she speaks English, French, and Russian. In addition, she has traveled all over the world and even participated in the Olympic Games in Australia. In 2000, Haya bint Al Hussein proudly carried the Jordanian flag at the opening ceremony of the Olympics. In Sydney, she was one step away from winning a medal in show jumping, an equestrian obstacle course. And in 2004, when the princess was exactly 30 years old, she became the Sheikh's sixth wife. At first, Haya tried to be an ideal wife and gave birth to Mohammed's 2 children. In 2007, a daughter Al-Jalila was born, and 5 years later a son Zaid. Over the years, Princess and Sheikh seemed to be an exemplary family by Eastern standards. In numerous interviews, Haya always admired her husband. No one could have imagined that the princess would make a scandalous escape from Dubai in 2019. So what happened in the royal family? Apparently, Haya was unhappy with her position as the younger wife from the beginning. In Jordan, she was the adored daughter of the king, but in the family of the Sheikh of Dubai, she encountered a very different attitude. Crown Prince Hamdan and the other sons of the ruler of Dubai were displeased with Haya from the first days. They condemned her for her too free temper and defiantly bright outfits. At some moment, her frustration ended with the young woman having a lover. He was an Englishman, Russell Flowers, who served as the princess's bodyguard. At that time, Haya was 43 years old and Russell was only 33. And the age of her husband, Sheikh Mohammed, was approaching 70 years. Their love affair began almost as soon as Flowers became her bodyguard. The princess was not stingy, lavishing him with expensive gifts. He received from her a luxury wristwatch, an antique shotgun, and a ring with a ruby and engraved as the Flowers family coat of arms. Flowers' wife suspected her husband of cheating almost immediately. She found in his phone intimate messages with the princess and her photos in a bikini. In addition, Flowers began taking extra care of himself and working out with a personal trainer. In 2017, Flowers divorced his wife, and it was his initiative. The affair lasted 2 years. Flowers received $1.2 million for his silence. The same amount was paid by the princess to 2 other security guards. They knew about the affair but covered for the couple in front of the sheikh. Princess Haya escaped from Dubai to London with her children in 2019. It is said that the princess left for Europe when she began to fear for her life. Her husband found out about his wife's cheating, and such things are not forgiven even to members of the royal family in the Emirates. In addition, Haya was afraid of the cruelty with which her husband returned his daughters Latifa and Shamsa, who tried to escape abroad. At the same time, Latifa confessed that Mohammed Al Maktoum had killed one of his uncle's wives just because he found the Moroccan's behavior provocative. Haya was denied political asylum because her children were the heirs of the ruler of Dubai, and he intended to return them. The princess' brother, King Abdullah II of Jordan, helped her. He gave his sister the post of deputy ambassador to the United Kingdom. Her diplomatic status helped her and her children get political asylum. Haya was then able to sue in a London court to divorce Mohammed and get protection from persecution. The divorce process was the largest in the history of British justice. The princess insisted on full custody of the children, fearing that Sheikh Mohammed would steal his children and return them to Dubai, as he had already done with Latifa and Shamsa. Princess Haya also revealed in court another, perhaps the most sensational reason for her escape. She told the court that her husband had planned to marry off their 11-year-old daughter, Al-Jalila, to Saudi Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman. The trial lasted several years. During this time, the world learned many unpleasant details about the life of the royal family. It was at the court that the affair between Haya and her security guard was revealed. The princess herself denied everything, and the bodyguard made no comment. There were rumors that Sheikh Mohammed came up with the story of the affair in order to ruin his ex-wife's reputation and try to get custody of the children. In 2022, the High Court of England took the side of the ex-wife of the Dubai ruler and awarded her sole custody of the children. Sheikh Mohammed also had to pay her more than $730 million in compensation. Haya had been preparing to escape for a long time. This is evidenced by her pre-purchased luxury mansion in central London, as well as her $39 million taken out of Dubai, which she was able to save from her monthly allowance. Haya's getaway received a wide international resonance, becoming a prime example of the problem of women's unfreedom in the Arab world. Do you think this story will continue? Will the ruler of Dubai keep trying to get his children back? Subscribe to the channel to stay up to date. Sheikh Mohammed was born in 1949, so his age is approaching 75. During his long life, he has witnessed the transformation of Dubai from a poor fishing village to a flashy metropolis. For the past 15 years, Mohammed has been the head of the Emirate. Under his leadership, Dubai has become a world center of tourism, a hub of technology and luxury. Much of this has happened thanks to Mohammed's activism and ambition. I don't know such a word as impossible, it isn't in my vocabulary, and only weak people who are afraid of challenges use it. This statement of Mohammed can be considered his life credo, and it concerns not only the management of the Emirate, but also his personal life. There were so many women in the fate of the monarch that probably some of them the sheikh does not even remember. Mohammed had 3 or 4 wives at a time, and they changed periodically. This usually happened when the next wife quarreled with him. Then he broke off relations with the woman, intimidated her, and took the children for himself. The first such episode happened in the 1970s. When Mohammed was 23 years old, he went to Lebanon. In Beirut, the Crown Prince of Dubai met a simple girl named Rhonda Albana. She was only 16 years old. Feelings flared up between Mohammed and Rhonda. They went to London and soon got married. At first, they lived more according to European traditions. Her husband did not impose Bedouin customs on Rhonda and even dedicated poems to her. However, after the birth of their daughter and the family's move to Dubai, Mohammed revealed his nature. He became unusually bossy and began to treat Rhonda as a master treats a powerless concubine. They began to spar regularly, but the worst was ahead for Rhonda. When their daughter Manal was 5 months old, the relationship ended in divorce. Mohammed threw Rhonda out of the palace and kept the child. It's hard to believe that for 20 years Rhonda came to Dubai and begged her ex-husband to show her daughter at least from afar. However, Sheikh Mohammed refused, and then he told his ex-wife the news that shocked her. He said she would never see her daughter again and barred her from entering Dubai for life. Manal is now 46 years old, and the monarch is carefully enforcing his ban. Immediately after Rhonda, the sheikh had several new wives, whose fate we will tell a little later. They gave birth to 3 more girls, and only the 5th child was a long-awaited boy for the Eastern ruler. He was named Marwan, and he was born from a German woman whose name is unknown. The sheikh did not even take her as a wife, but simply took away the child. Most likely he paid the German woman to give up her son or used other arguments for this purpose. Despite the fact that Marwan is Mohammed's eldest son, the sheikh didn't make him an heir. Perhaps this is the fault of too European appearance of the boy or hidden dislike of his father. At the age of 30, Sheikh Mohammed married his cousin Hind Al Maktoum, who became his eldest wife. Unlike most of the sheikh's wives, she managed to build a good relationship with her husband throughout her life. Perhaps because she was brought up in the same traditions, she bore her powerful husband 12 children, most of whom hold senior positions in Dubai's government. Their eldest son Rashid was the crown prince. Unfortunately, Rashid's fate turned out tragically. In 2015, he died at the age of 33. The official reason was a heart attack, but evil tongues say that Prince Rashid got hooked on heavy drugs, which brought him to the grave. Now the Crown Prince of Dubai is Rashid's younger brother Hamdan, also the son of Hind. Mohammed's other wives were less fortunate than Hind. Horia, an Algerian woman, bore Mohammed 5 children. He eventually grew cold to her and divorced her. The common children the sheikh as usual kept for himself. A similar story happened with the Lebanese monarch's wife Dalila. After the birth of 3 children and divorce, she was denied their upbringing. But with the Greek woman Zoe Grigorakos, it seems there was a temporary marriage, a misyar, which did not oblige the sheikh to support his wife. They met in London, and soon after, Zoe had a daughter, Christina. It seems that Sheikh Mohammed didn't even know she was born. Christina was raised as a Christian and lived in Europe, but at the age of 16 she moved to Dubai and her father officially recognized her. Christina accepted Islam and became known to the world as the beautiful Sheikha Mara. The fate of the German girl who gave birth to Marwan was repeated by a beautiful wife from Turkey. Her name is not mentioned anywhere, but it is known that after the birth of her daughter Ela in 1997, the woman disappeared without a trace. The girl received the title of Sheikha and was brought up with the rest of Mohammed's children. But the ruler of Dubai never recognized his son Suhail. The boy was born in December 1992. His mother, Lebanese Pauline Abi Rached, didn't receive the status of the official wife of the monarch. This is probably due to the fact that the woman is a convinced Christian and didn't agree to convert to Islam. Her son didn't receive the status of a prince, but spent his childhood with his mother and didn't see palace intrigues like his siblings. According to rumors, Pauline repeatedly tried to contact Sheikh Mohammed, but he categorically refused to make contact. Princess Haya was the wisest of all the wives of the Dubai ruler. Being the next wife of Mohammed, she learned in detail about the fate of her predecessors. When relations with her husband cooled to the point of divorce, she decided to be proactive. She ran away with her children to London without waiting for her husband to take them away from her. Rumor has it that the princess also feared for her life because of her affair with an English security guard. In the capital of Britain, Haya hired a solid security guard and filed for divorce in the High Court. As a result, the woman managed to sue the monarch for $730 million and keep the children to herself. Who knows if Mohammed won't try to get them back in some way. This is exactly what happened to his daughter Latifa, who was born to a Lebanese woman named Horia. This wife of the sheikh, as mentioned earlier, was banished from the palace when Latifa was still a baby. At the age of 10, the girl learned that she was not being raised by her mother at all. At the age of 16, she decided to run away from her father, who had treated her mother so cruelly. She tried to escape twice and almost succeeded. She was caught and imprisoned, but that's another story, which we'll tell you about in the next video. Officially, Sheikh Mohammed had 6 wives. Now we find out that he had at least 3 unofficial ones. Most likely there are more, but only the ruler of Dubai knows the exact number. Sheikh Hind Al Maktoum, the most mysterious wife of Dubai's ruler, one of the richest men on the planet. Sheikh Mohammed officially had 6 wives. Some ran away from him, others he kicked out himself, and only Hind lives with him for almost half a century and gave birth to 12 children. Is she happily married? Why was their wedding in the Guinness Book of Records? And was she scheming against the Sheikh's other wives? Don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel. Let's get started. Hind Al Maktoum is the First Lady of Dubai and mother of Crown Prince Sheikh Hamdan. She was born on February 12, 1962 and belongs to Dubai's ruling Al Maktoum dynasty. Her mother, Sheikha, was the daughter of Dubai's ruler Said II. The princess received a home upbringing in accordance with Islamic traditions. She practically never left the palace, and it was as if fate itself was preparing her for an unusual mission. Hind had known Sheikh Mohammed since childhood because she was Mohammed's maternal cousin and paternal second cousin. The major event in her life occurred in 1979 when she turned 17. Hind and Mohammed's parents agreed on their union. Sheikh Mohammed was then the head of Dubai's police and defense minister. He was 30 years old and had already enjoyed the life of a bachelor. 2 years before his engagement to Hind, the man even had a daughter, Manal, with a Lebanese woman, Randa. Apparently, Mohammed's family was tired of his love affairs and decided to show the world that the sheikh had settled down. For the avoidance of doubt, the wedding was organized on an unprecedented scale. The lavish celebration also had political overtones. The Emirates began to receive large revenues from the sale of oil and sought to show the whole world their advancement. Mohammed and Hind's wedding was the first major public event in Dubai. In scale, it was more like a national holiday than a wedding. The celebrations were held near the royal palace of Zabil. The huge sandy area in front of the palace was cleared and fenced. Lighting poles were installed and decorated. A 20,000-seat stadium was built especially for the wedding. The scale of the events is illustrated by the fact that only VIPs were allowed into the stadium. Hundreds of thousands of ordinary Arabs were accommodated in the open air. This was the only way they could see a ceremony unprecedented for the Emirates. A procession of 20 camels of a rare breed brought gifts to the feet of Hind. These were gifts to the bride from Mohammed and aristocratic guests. They were mostly outfits with rubies and diamonds, jewelry, antique dishes and carpets, as well as several luxury cars. For 5 days, all residents of the Emirate of Dubai were given free food and entertainment. For the first time in the city's history, a grand air show was staged in the sky. The guests also saw camel races in which Mohammed Al Maktoum won unconditionally. He also laid the gold cup he won at the feet of his bride. The aristocrats who came to the party were shocked by the luxury of the ceremony. On the holiday was spent $137 million. This wedding became the most expensive in history and was listed in the Guinness Book of Records. No woman in the world has ever had such an expensive wedding until now. Incredibly, the grandiose luxury did not faze 17-year-old Hind. After the celebration, she devoted herself fully to family life. Over the next 2 decades, she bore her husband 12 children. She gave birth almost every year, which is a feat in itself. Hind also raised several foster boys and girls she adopted from charity. They were mostly orphans taken from orphanages. However, the father of some of Hind's non-native children is Mohammed. The amorous sheikh took them from his other wives and then gave them to his senior wife to raise. As eyewitnesses say, she not only did not object to this, but even rejoiced. The woman is incredibly fond of children and has never made any distinction between her own and others. The princess gave birth to her first child, a girl, Hessa, a year after the wedding. Another year later, Rashid was born. It was he who was to succeed his father on the throne of Dubai. In the upbringing of the future ruler, his mother put all her soul. And he, indeed, grew up to be an intelligent and strong-willed man on whom the subjects of Dubai hoped. However, at the age of 33, her mother's pride, a brilliant athlete and heir to the throne, died of a heart attack. This was a great grief for Hind, but she knew she had no right to be despondent. After all, she had other children to raise and prepare for adulthood. There were many other trials in Hind's fate. Her husband had so many women that probably some of them the sheikh does not even remember. As a rule, Mohammed had 3 or 4 wives at a time, and periodically they would change. This usually happened when the next wife quarreled with him. Then he broke off the relationship with the woman and took the children for himself. Hind saw all this but accepted it with humility because she was brought up according to strict Muslim traditions. Also, according to these traditions, she always wears a mask over her face. This mask, made of metallic-colored cloth and worn by Arab women in the Gulf countries, is called a burqa. This word is similar to the word burqa, which means a covering that hides the whole face. But the burqa is used to cover only part of the face and is traditionally a symbol of femininity. The burqa used to be part of the daily wear of Arab women, but now it is mostly seen on older women. In 2004, a very unpleasant ordeal awaited Hind. Sheikh Mohammed married the beautiful Princess Haya from Jordan. She was 12 years younger than Hind, more spectacular looking, very active and ambitious. Unlike the sheikh's senior wife, she appeared at all events with Mohammed, gave interviews and conducted public social activities. But this marriage ended miserably. After 15 years, Haya ran away from the palace with her 2 children. In the court of London, she managed to sue her ex-husband for $730 million. This divorce became the most expensive in the world. Ironically, Sheikh Mohammed set 2 world records related to his wives. He spent a truly astronomical amount of money on his wedding to Hind, but he had to give away even more to legally break up with Haya. Apparently, he has no regrets about either. After all, both wives gave him more than money. As for Hind, she has excelled in raising all of Mohammed's children. Crown Prince Hamdan is actively involved in the development of the Emirates and is preparing to replace his father as the ruler of Dubai. 7 more sons work in public administration, are engaged in business and science. Almost all daughters have successfully married and are raising children. Now the First Lady is over 60 years old. Hind has already fulfilled her duty as a mother, and now assists her husband in running the emirate. She is actively involved in charity work, participates in the promotion of Arab women in the government, and supervises the social sphere. However, as before, Hind works without pathos and does not show off her achievements to the public. Rumor has it that these photos are not of Hind, but of Mama Noura, the nanny who helped Hind in raising Sheikh Mohammed's children, and that there are only a few photos of Hind, all of which were taken in her youth. What do you think about this? Write in the comments. The First Lady of Dubai is highly respected and loved by the people of Dubai. For local ladies, Hind is a model of human qualities that a true Muslim woman should possess. She has shared joy and sorrow with her husband, survived all his antics and numerous love affairs. Who knows, maybe this is what a woman's selfless love looks like. Subscribe to the channel, put a like. See you soon.